Typhoon Neoguri continuing to intensify here on Saturday, the 5th of July, 2014. This storm system already a very potent typhoon at the equivalent of a Category 2 going to a Category 3 hurricane if it was in the Atlantic. Already, this would cause damage if it came ashore today, but the thing is, it is rapidly intensifying. It is over very warm sea surface temperature waters. Actually, sea surface temperature out here right around 30 to 32 degrees. It's slightly above average. Very low vertical wind shear around the center of the storm system, and it has plenty of moisture to work with. Now, if you don't know a lot about meteorology, I know a lot of that may sound a little bit Greek here to you, but what I can say is that these are all conditions that would allow for rapid intensification. Most recent satellite imagery, we do see a little bit of dry airflow coming in around the northern periphery of this. That, at the very least, is a little bit of good news. It's keeping it at bay from becoming too explosive, but all these other factors are definitely outweighing it, and I also think this storm system is becoming much more centralized, so we're going to see this cut off a little bit from the monsoonal inflow which we have been seeing off there towards the west the last 24 hours. At this time, though, the Japan Meteorological Agency does have this storm system with winds right around 167, gusting up to 204 kilometers per hour, pushing off there towards the northwest. JTWC, that is the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, has it a little bit, actually JMA has 167 to 204. JMA is a little bit weak, JTWC has 167 to 204. JMA is a little bit weaker, 139, gusting up to 194 kilometers per hour. Regardless, both of these numbers are intense, and they both expect these storm systems to intensify as we look ahead through the forecast. And where exactly is this storm going? Well, once again, here's your tracks from JMA with those winds continuing to intensify, pressure down to 960 HPA. The thing to note with this track is that they expect this to go just towards the west of Okinawa here in the long range by Tuesday morning. When I say just towards the west, that would put you in the right front quadrant, and that is the worst case scenario. I always say that, right front quadrant, worst case scenario. You have the forward momentum of this storm system, and if it is packing winds at the equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane, I mean, we're talking about gusts well over 300 kilometers per hour. That's going to cause some damage. There's your latest warning from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. They actually have this moving directly over those of you into western portions of Okinawa before it starts to head off there towards the north, impacting Kyushu by Wednesday into Thursday, bringing some flooding rains out there as well. I just really want to concentrate in this update, though, on what is going to be happening here in the southern Japanese islands, because I know those of you who are out here are very worried, and you're watching the storm system very closely. Just for comparison purposes, this is the latest track from the Taiwan agency. This is moving very close to Taiwan. Numerous agencies warning on the system right now, by the way, and they also have this moving just right along the southern coast of Okinawa, putting Naha and the big population of the Okinawa Islands within the right front quadrant of the storm system. So at this time, this really is, and I know people say that a lot when you're talking about typhoons, and they say you should definitely prepare for the worst. But at this time, unless the forecast dramatically changes up here, this is going to be a very damaging storm system. If you have anything outside, anything in your yard, anything that you could pick up with your own two hands, make sure that is tied down and taken inside. That is one of the major causes of damage out here. The good news for the southern Japanese islands is that the islands are really built for typhoons. Everything's made out of concrete. You don't need to evacuate, and you can't evacuate. It's an island. That's the good news. The bad news is that sometimes people get complacent and they end up venturing out into these storms when they shouldn't be. And in the end, you end up hurting yourself over something silly that you shouldn't have been out in that weather at the same time. So that is one thing to just really keep in mind as we look ahead through the next several days, is just follow what your local agencies are saying. If you are being told to stay indoors, just do so. Don't be one of those people to venture out into the middle of these weather systems. Take a look at the overall model consensus. We do have a few outliers off here towards the west, but as I was just showing you with a couple of the model outlooks, everything's really consistent consensus with this storm system moving directly over the southern Japanese islands. What's steering it? Well, we do have a high pressure ridge just off here towards the east, and that is the biggest factor within this storm. If you watched my video update last night, I was talking about this high pressure ridge and how the agencies yesterday actually had this moving towards the east of Okinawa, but that ridge is just too strong, and there is not enough force coming in with the upper level jet to pick this up and move it towards the east of the southern Japanese islands off towards the Pacific coast of mainland Japan. So with that said, it does look like models in the agencies are starting to kind of follow in suit with this moving around the far western edge of that subtropical ridge over the islands here. And that is one reason why I do think that there is pretty decent confidence of exactly where this storm system is going to be going. The other thing to mention, though, is that if you are out here, it's not just the winds that could be a very dangerous factor with this. Starting by Monday into Monday afternoon, the waves are going to be coming on shore, and this is going to be upwards about 7 to 8 meters high. I mean, we're talking about 20 to 25 feet. You don't want to be out near the beaches in that, and you want to stay out of the water with this, people. This is going to be very dangerous surf. Let's take a look at our hour-by-hour model outlook here using Meteor Earth. You know I love this. I put the pointer right over Naha so you can see your conditions in the bottom left of the screen. The track there is also via GTWC, not JMA. I do want to note that. That is a U.S. military's track. See these winds really starting to pick up, though, as we head through your Monday, coming in from the east, upwards about 45 to 50 kilometers per hour during the evening hours as the storm system starts to approach there for you. And then eventually, as it does push right over Okinawa and the southern Japanese islands, we're going to be seeing winds really, if the track does hold true, coming in directly from the south at about 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. But this is based on a model, and if the forecast holds true, it's going to be a lot stronger with gusts upwards of about 300 kilometers per hour. Anything over 100 is going to cause damage, but if we get upwards about 300, that's when you start to see. Please do check out our Facebook page and also the website. We have a video of a car flying down the middle of two buildings there. That's some intense stuff, and I wish I actually would have loaded this on the update before I put it in, but if you just go to the website and check that out, we have that video there. And what happens, especially if you're in any wind tunneling areas that are southward facing, if this was to follow through, you're going to be seeing winds even higher than that, and that's what ends up happening, is that you get these basically tunneling winds, and anything within that is going to go flying, and we're going to be seeing some damage with that. So there's a lot of factors coming into play here, people. At this time, though, I know if you are military, T-Core conditions have not been put in place, but let's go back to that Japan Meteorological Agency warning. I want to show this to you because those areas in red, that is those storm warnings indicating 50 knots or greater is very well likely out here, especially within that inner line, that white line. I mean, that's indicating upwards about a 70% chance. So it's going to happen. Don't think this one's going to sway away. Even if it doesn't make a direct landfall, which is very well possible, it still could just push a little bit farther towards the west. You're still going to be seeing some damaging winds within the southern Japanese islands. So it's not like this one's going to pass and it's going to be a sunny and slightly breezy day. I don't think so, unless we see a very significant and drastic change in the forecast track, which doesn't look like that is going to be happening. So yeah, that is all for right now, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can post them down there in the comment box below. I always appreciate your feedback, as I always say out here. Once again, though, don't forget to check in with your official agencies here if you are in front of these storm systems. If you're military, your military agencies are your official agency, as well as those T-Core warnings that are put out there. But just so you know, people are taking this storm system rather seriously. Japan media, I was watching this earlier on NHK, telling people to get these preparations in place and get basically all your supplies ready, because there is a possibility there could be a little bit of communication cut off after a storm system comes ashore. But as I mentioned, Okinawa, you're used to storms. You're used to taking the brunt of these. As long as you don't do anything stupid, you shouldn't get hurt. But there is that problem afterwards. It is going to be rather inconvenient. We're going to be seeing the potential for at least some damage down power lines, down tree limbs, a lot of superficial stuff. And if this doesn't make a direct landfall, it could be even worse than that. So I think Sunday we're going to have more information exactly what's going to be happening out here for you. Also, on Sunday evening, we're going to be doing a live video update with myself, meteorologist Jonathan O. Kat there from Okinawa. You may know her from her YouTube channels. And we got a lot of information we want to put out. We also want your questions, your feedback that we're going to be really answering here and commenting on in a live update. Probably take about 1 to 2 hours. So if you have any information, that's the time to really share it with us. And if you have any questions, definitely the time to join in. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay safe out there. Bye.